Hi there. Today I am going to talk about starting a cover band. You might want to start a cover band for a variety of reasons. For example, it might just be for the love of the music. It could be the buzz of playing live, to get a few paid gigs here and there, make a bit of extra cash on the side, or a combination of all of those things. Now, it can be a bit bewildering and you might find it a little bit difficult when first starting a band, get yourself booked and to get out there and play those gigs. So today I am going to give you my top 5 practical tips to start a cover band and get yourself booked. Tip number 1, get yourself a good crew. You need to start with the right people. It's all right finding people that can play their instruments really well, but you also need to be able to get along with these people, right? So, you know, you're going to spend a lot of time with them. There's no point in getting into a band with 4 or 5 people that you don't get along with. It's just going to be painful. You're going to hate it, and ultimately you'll end up leaving the band. So you need to make sure that you get the right people in terms of people that you can get along with. People you can enjoy a laugh with, you know, but have got the same ethos as you. So if you're somebody that goes out and you're very professional in your attitude, then you want to make sure that the people that you're working with are also professional in their approach. So they don't have to be the best musicians in the world. They do need to be good, they do need to be competent, otherwise you won't get booked. But, you know, I think getting along is going to be more than 50% of the way there, and people can tell. So people can tell on stage, they can see where musicians have got a connection or where people are just going through the motions, right? And I don't know about you, but for me, I don't want to be in a band where people are just going through the motions. It's not fun, and you know, why bother, really? So yeah, maybe if it was a significantly paid gig and you were a hired gun, maybe you'd do that. But you know, my advice: find people you can get along with that are competent. You don't want people that bring along drama into the band. That causes, again, friction and issues. And the other thing probably that you also want is people that will, you know, come to a rehearsal prepared. So, you know, do the practice, do the homework at home. You know, rehearsals generally, in my view, are for getting the stage show together. They're not for learning the songs. Learning the songs is what you do at home. Tip number 2, choose a theme or style. So what do I mean by that? Well, there are millions of cover bands out there in the world. There are many here in Perth. If you're a band that just plays a random set of material, you're going to be competing with every other band that's doing a random set of material, right? And that's quite a difficult sell, because if you're a venue booker, you're going to look at those bands and you're going to ask the question, what am I getting that's different? What am I getting that's going to bring people in to buy beer and to buy meals, right? So at the end of the day, like it or not, you see yourself as an entertainer. For the pubs, you're more of a beer salesman, right? So you've got to be giving them something tangible that they can look at and say, yeah, that's a good idea. We could perhaps build a theme night around this. So when I build a cover band, I always look for a theme. I pick that theme and I curate the songs based around that theme. Now, it could be a tribute. So you can see here on the wall, I've got my Paul Simonon from The Clash tribute bass that I put together for a Clash tribute band, right? So again, get the right gear, get the look for the particular theme or tribute that you're trying to put together. Another band that I have is a British theme band. So we do all British music, but we're based here in Australia. So again, it's a theme, attracts the expats, and it also attracts people that liked the Britpop scene and the new wave scenes from the UK, which penetrated Australia really well as well. So it means that I've picked a popular theme in the country, but it's also a little bit of a niche. The pubs can theme a British night around it. They can put on British beers, British foods, those kind of things, which means that they've got something that they can sell as a package, and you're part of that package. So just think about your themes. Think about what it is that you could do to set yourself apart from the millions of cover bands that are out there playing Mustang Sally and Brown Eyed Girl and Nutbush City Limits, right? There's a million bands doing all those songs. Nothing wrong with that at all. Popular songs, people love them. But if you want to stand out, get yourself a theme. Okay, so on to tip number 3. This is probably one of my favourite parts of the band. Tip number 3, build a strong set list. So again, based around your theme, build a set list that is perfect for that theme, right? So with a tribute band, it's easy. You're curating popular songs from that particular band, right? And I've played in quite a few tribute bands over the years. Some where it's been more of a nod to the band, where you play the music, but you don't necessarily dress up. In others, you dress up and give people the full band experience. So again, with a tribute, you need to think about that. We'll come on to that in a minute. But in terms of songs, you want stuff that people know. You need songs that people can sing along to. The stuff with the big choruses, the nostalgic bangers, the party tunes. You probably want a few in there that show off your talents as well. It's no good having a shit-hot lead guitarist, and if he's just having to strum chords all the way through the songs, that might be what the song calls for, but he's going to get bored, right? So you got to think about that when you build your set together. So if we go back to the British band, I'm playing is called Black Vinyl. Whenever I pick songs for that band, I look at the chart position that they got to in both the British charts and the Australian charts. So it's a British themed band, so I want to make sure that these were popular songs in Britain at the time, in the 80s and 90s. Now, I lived through that, and I know most of the songs, and I know pretty much what was popular and what wasn't. But you come across some surprises and some really good stuff now and again. So I look at the chart position in the UK, but I also look at the chart position in Australia. And that means that although I'm kind of building a band based around that expat crowd, I also don't want the Aussie crowd to be alienated. So I want them to know the songs as well. So I'm looking at Australian chart positions. Now, sometimes you can get a few outliers out there. So a really good example, there was a band called Underworld, which if you're from the UK, you'll remember them for a song called Born Slippy, which was featured in Trainspotting, the movie. They had a song way before that, and they had different kind of sound called Underneath the Radar. Never got anywhere in the UK, but it's an absolutely massive hit in Australia. Really good danceable song. Every time we play it, it fills the dance floor, right? So, it's slightly off theme because it wasn't massively popular in the UK, but it was a huge hit in Australia, and they're a UK band. So we put that in the set. So, you can think a little bit off the wall, but make sure that you're putting in songs that people know, that your audience are going to enjoy, that's going to get them excited, get them on the dance floor. Of course, if you want to be a background music band, you can do that as well. Just know your genre, know your theme, play to your strengths. Yeah, I'd also say, you can play the 80-20 rule a little bit. What do I mean by that? Well, you get 80% of your set being all of those bangers, those well-known songs, dance floor hits. But 20% could be more of the stuff that you as a group of musicians enjoy. Just try and walk the line a little bit between, the stuff that you enjoy and the stuff that's popular, because nobody in a pub is going to want to listen to B-sides or those deep album cuts, unless perhaps if you're doing a tribute like The Clash, there might be a song in there off one of the albums that everybody's going to enjoy and don't hear very often. So sometimes that works. I'd say 99% of the time you want to be playing popular stuff. Tip number 4. Okay, so this is the big one. Market yourselves properly. It's no good putting a band together and expecting people to just book the band based on the strength of a name. So again, work on your theme, then go out, get some professional photos done. If you can afford it, get some professional video done. If you can't, get a friend to come along to a gig and record you playing live and do some short clips of the best bits to build yourself a little bit of a show reel, right? So it's similar to anything else in the creative world. If you're an actor or if you're an artist, you want to show off your past work, right? You want to show off some examples of what you can do. So you really want to get, if you've got a gig where you've got a lot of people there, you want to get your mate down there at least with his iPhone, get a bit of footage and use that. Use social media to your advantage. So in this day and age, we don't go around sticking up posters around the place anymore. What I found here in Australia is, although the pubs will pay to book us, and sometimes they'll build those theme nights that we talk about, a lot of the times they don't really do any marketing at all other than put the event on their Facebook page. If you want people in, if you want to get repeat bookings, regardless of whether the pub are just paying you a flat fee, or the venue's paying you a flat fee, or whether you're doing ticket sales, or whether you're just playing for free, if you want people there, you're going to need to advertise. You're going to need to let people know what's going on. So set aside some of your budget for advertising. That might be a small amount. It might be $50 in the first instance, right? Just to make sure that you get people aware of what you're doing. So get on point with advertising. Use Facebook Meta advertising through Facebook and Instagram. Works really well if you get your targeting right. Again, you need to educate yourself a little bit on how that works. If you don't know, you could probably find a friend or somebody that has experience, somebody with a business perhaps that's done some marketing that can help you. But I would definitely do that. Use some of the online tools to produce your advertising. Gone are the days where you got some sort of scrappy poster now. I see it all the time, right? There's these bands and they put together a picture of themselves in the middle, some text at the top, some text at the bottom. It looks terrible, right? Tools like Canva are free. They've got free templates on there. There are paid versions where you get extra bits and pieces, but you can make something that looks relatively professional yourself for nothing. I mean, if you've got the budget, you could always pay somebody to do the artwork. Sometimes the big tribute acts, you pay a professional to get you some professional artwork. Especially if you're charging big money for shows, you want to make it look as professional as possible. But if you're on a budget, you can get very similar results with some of those free online tools. So look into that. Yeah, build your Facebook, Instagram pages up. Choose a platform that's going to resonate with the audience that you're trying to target. So with my bands, a lot of them, the target audience they're going to be between like 40 and 65 years old, probably, right? With some younger people who enjoy that music as well, and a few older people. But the middle of the demographic, and I've seen this through the Facebook advertising, is around that sort of 40 to 65 age range. So most of those people reside on Facebook, right? A few use Instagram. you're not going to find many on TikTok. But if you're doing sort of more contemporary music, perhaps TikTok is the place where you should focus your marketing activities. So know who your audience is, know where they reside online, and use those platforms to target them. If you get your marketing right and you've got a good product, because let's face it, your band is a product, you're trying to sell it to these venues, you'll do well. Tip number 5, be professional. So what do I mean by that? Well, turn up on time. So turn up at the time you've agreed with the venue. So you don't want the sound person hanging around for you, the bar staff. You don't want to be loading in while people are eating their meals. Turn up when you're supposed to turn up. Right? That absolute no-go is to be late, right, and be rushing around. It's just totally unprofessional. The other thing is, if you're a member of a band and you're late and the rest of the band's hanging around for you, again, you don't want people like that in a band. You don't want people that are always late. So again, be professional. If you're on a multi-band show, don't overrun your slot. So if you've got an allocated 40 minutes, play your 40 minutes. Maybe time your set slightly less. Sometimes you'll find with the natural adrenaline you'll play a little bit faster, but you've also, there'll be some talking in between. Something might go wrong. Keep an eye on the time. So always have somebody in the band that's a timekeeper to know when you're coming up to the end of that time slot. And if you have to drop a song, right? Even if it's your favourite song, if your time slot's coming up, don't overrun it unless you've got permission to do so. Be polite to everybody that you meet in this industry. Some people are difficult to work with. You don't want to be one of those people. And even if you encounter those people, it's still best to remain professional. So what I find in the music industry, it's pretty small and word gets around fast. If you're known to be difficult to work with, then you won't get jobs in other bands. Venues won't want to work with you. Bookers, promoters, none of them will want to work with you. So again, it's about maintaining that level of professionality. Make sure your gear works. Test everything before you leave home, right? So you can see here, I have got backups of everything. I'll take a lot of spare bits with me, just to make sure if something goes wrong, I've got something that can back me up. I always take 2 basses, and I generally play an active bass, so the second bass I take is always passive, right? So again, thinking ahead, thinking things go wrong, flat batteries, etc., right? So I always take 2 guitars with you, if you can. Not so common with a bass, but with a guitar you might break a string. You just want to be able to reach for another guitar. You don't want to spend the next 10 minutes putting a new string on, tuning up. I've seen people do that in gigs. It is the most annoying thing going. They're in the middle of a set, they break a string on their only guitar, and then the gig grinds to a halt. So don't be one of those people. Be prepared. If you're on a low budget, just think about ways that you can work around some of those issues. So if something does go wrong, how are you going to work around it? So if there's more than one band on a bill, maybe have an agreement with those other bands that they'll leave their guitar on stage, you'll leave your guitar on stage, so that there's a spare there to be grabbed if something goes wrong. Something like that. Try and account for those possibilities if you can. Always carry spare leads, spare picks, a couple of screwdrivers. Again, you don't want to be taking your guitar apart in the middle of a gig, but if something goes wrong, you can look at that during the interval. So again, good to be prepared and professional. Okay, it's time for the bonus tip. This is huge. This, if you take away nothing else from this video, take away this. The music industry is really small. You need to build relationships with people. You need to be somebody that they can get on with, that they can trust. So when you go into a venue, introduce yourself to the bar staff. Find the booker. Even if you've been booked through an agency, don't just put your gear on stage and play. Take the time to go and introduce yourself. Introduce yourself to the sound person, and have a conversation, you know, about sound, what you need, what you don't need. But also make sure that you're somebody that's easy to get on with. Again, I see bands, and you know, you want to sound check and you want to hear everything. But again, you've got to be easy to work with, so don't make it difficult. And sometimes if things are not quite working right, sometimes you've got to compromise, right? You're not going to get the perfect sound in every venue. In fact, most of the gigs I play, I very rarely can hear everything that I need to hear. But you just get on with it, right? You just be professional. When you send emails to venues or make telephone calls, and perhaps even if you go into the venue in person, again, keep that professional. Although you might want to be light-hearted, you can certainly do that to a degree, but you don't really want to write a jokey email. If you're approaching a venue that you don't know, or a booker or an agency, be professional. It's good to have you know, a one-pager about your band, and again, hand that over. But use that, talk around what your band does, build those relationships. So one thing that I used to do, and still do, is I actually go and visit venues. So you go in venue, go and buy a pint, ask to speak to the booker if they're around, and then have a chat with them. Have a chat about the sorts of bands that they book, sorts of acts they have on, the sort of people that come into that venue, and see where you can fit in and build a relationship with them, and make compromises where you need to as well. And I think that's done you in good stead. So build good relationships, you'll go a long way. Okay, thanks everybody for watching this video. I've got more videos planned, and I can go into some of these topics in more detail. So please leave a comment below if you would like me to talk about a particular topic. I've been playing in covers and tribute bands in the UK and Australia for about 30 years now. So I've got a fair bit of knowledge that I can impart and hopefully help you to build successful bands. One of the other things I'm doing, I'm actually setting up 2 new acts at the moment, and as part of that, I will make some videos around how I'm building those bands, and hopefully that can help you with some success in building your own covers or tribute act. So for now, thanks for watching. Consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.